Good evening. Welcome to Sound Off. My name's Don Tessier. I'm sitting in tonight for Linda Kirker. Tonight, for my guest is David McWilliams. David, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for asking me.
Well,
maybe we can improve the ratings on Linda's show.
That's correct. All right, so I know there's a lot of topics out there. What would you like to start with first? I know that you have one thing about voting that you want to get off your chest.
Yeah.
Then after you get done with that, I've got a couple of things that I think that might jar some of the people out there to call in, because if they don't get involved, their pocketbook is going to be less money for them.
Well, I think the biggest thing, we just had a town meeting day, and there was only 940 people that voted in St. Albans town. We have over 4,000 people that are, voters in the town of St. Albans. The people that are not voting, shame on you, because of the fact that, a lot of our soldiers fought for our rights, our freedom, and the right to vote. If you were in Iraq or Afghanistan and you wanted to vote, there'd be lines all the way around this building. But here, 943 people voted in St. Albans town. My feeling is, if you vote, then you have a right to bitch.
Right.
If you don't vote, I don't want to hear you, because of the fact that, if you don't take 10 minutes out of your time to vote in St. Albans town or any city or any other town, then, you're not a voice in government.
Right. Yeah, by voting, you show that you're concerned and help move these people in the right direction. Unless they know how we feel, they make up their own mind. So every time I see a legislator, I always tell them how I feel about certain things, so at least he knows that people out there do care about what's happening.
There's a very small amount of people that actually get up there and go to these meetings, the legislative breakfast. They had one last month. They had it at City Hall. There was probably about 30 to 40 people there.
Really? That's a pretty good crowd.
So, yeah. So, I got up and talked about, permitting process in the state of Vermont. Ben and Jerry's $351,000 for permits, that they have to have in order to build on their addition. Mm-hmm. I can see a permitting process, but the cost of the permits are outrageous. So, I know that Peerless is way over $200,000 for their permits.
Really?
So, if we don't cut down on the cost of permitting process in the state of Vermont, what gives the incentive for anybody to ever come here? We need good paying jobs. We need jobs that are livable wage jobs and with benefit. And if we don't start trying to, get our permitting process under control, and Act 250, because Act 250 and regional planning are controlling the growth in Franklin County. Mm-hmm. So we need to do something about it.
Okay, so we're going to challenge you people out there tonight and hope a few people call in. I got about 4 different things I'd like to hear your opinions on and what you think of. One of the ones here, that shooting down in Florida, there's going to be a student walkout tomorrow, I think at 10 o'clock, all over the country. All right, I agree with their rights to do that, but what they're doing really doesn't accomplish anything. Our legislators and our people in Congress and the president, we're working on seeing how we can make schools a lot safer. I understand they want to express things, but I'd like to see them do something in order to, instead of protesting the violence of guns, show me how to improve it. So that's one topic. And the other one is this carbon tax they're kicking around for taxing on gasoline, fuel oil, and things like that. And they want to push everything to electric cars. And I was watching TV today, and you realize how much the cost of electric car was probably going to be for people, upwards maybe $40,000 to $50,000 compared to $21,000 to $25,000. These people in Montpelier don't think. They got too much money and they don't care. And the other one that I wanted to talk about is the school tax. All right, they're going to move a little bit away from the property tax people, and that means everybody who owns property is going to make a savings, but then they're going to piggyback on the income. So I'm going to be paying taxes on the land in my house, and then when the income comes, I'm going to have to pay more. I agree with that because people who don't pay property taxes would be paying, but we got to protect the property owner who's paying taxes. And this one here is, I'd be really interested to see what people say about this one. I saw last week there's a movement to do away with EBT cards. Did you know that?
That would save money if they do it right.
Well, what they're planning on doing is people who are on EBT cards are now going to get boxes of food. And so that means they're going to have to go home, get their box of food, go home, cook it, prepare it and all that, then rather than going out to the Price Chopper and Hannaford's and loading up their baskets full of processed food, all they have to do is throw it in the microwave and stuff and do it. So I'm in favor of doing away with the EBT card and replacing it with food. Back in the days when I moved to Vermont back in 1959, that we had the overseas of the poor in the city. You had money when you had substance. You'd go up, they'd give you 50 pounds of potato and things like that, and then send you home to take care of it.
Well, I think the EBT cards has been abused in the past. They have to have better control over it, because I know a particular restaurant at one time is no longer in business and bar, where they had a nightclub connected to it, and they used to go down there and they used to use their EBT card, charge it as restaurant food, but it was actually for liquor. So we need better control of it. I also have heard stories, I can't prove it, in reference to, they get fuel assistance.
Yep.
Somebody will go down there and I'll sell you 100 gallons for $2 a gallon instead of $4 a gallon out of the tank, because I need some money. I've heard of things like that. My wife saw something on Facebook where a person came out of a grocery store and she was using the ABT card, and it was a slip, and on the slip it said had 3 packages of lobsters on it. I don't even eat lobster. My wife only eats it when I take her out, and that's about once or twice a year. I'm too cheap.
I was going to say, you're a cheapskate.
But, I don't mind helping the needy, but not the greedy.
I'm with you.
Now, carbon tax. Anybody that votes for that down in Montpelier ought to resign right after that, because that'll drive the rest of our senior citizens, the people that are on fixed incomes, out of the state. We're losing them now. But increasing that carbon cents, 20 cents on a gallon of gas, or 20 cents.
I thought it was 50 cents a gallon of gas, and it's something 40 cents on propane, and then natural gas, and then fuel oil. Now, natural gas doesn't put out any carbon.
Well, any idiot votes for that?
Well, they should. This is why we need the people sitting out there maybe listening to us.
You need to call your legislative people and say, vote against that carbon tax.
Well, every time I see a legislator that I know, I ask him. Most of the ones I talk to aren't in favor of the carbon tax. And I don't think Phil Scott would vote on that if it ever came. I think he'd veto it. And one other thing, I'm glad you said that. One other thing I got here, I get annoyed when I'm watching TV and they're voting and they have a roll call. I want to know who's voting what. The legislature should do away with roll call. It should be ballot. That way I know how David McWilliams votes. Not say yay or nay. And we need to get our legislators out there to say we want no more roll call. We want ballots.
I did a roll call vote when I was on the select board in 1990-91. And Frank Montang said, "What's a roll call?" He says, "Yeah, that was when I was in the Army." I said, I can request a roll call vote on any issue that I feel that, I want the person to stand how they're going to vote on the issue. So anyways, to make a long story short, we did do that.
Yeah.
But if you're afraid to say how you voted, you shouldn't be in Montpelier.
That's right. I mean, this voice vote, I'm against it, because you don't know who's a good guy and who's the bad guy.
Yeah. I got to go. I got to leave the room for that vote.
Yeah.
You should still be made to vote.
Well, because if, for example, I could say I voted and I wouldn't even be there because they wouldn't know that, because how do they know if a yay or nay and I'm sitting doing something else?
Yeah.
So I mean, we need to hold these people accountable.
More
for
accountable.
certain things.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, Phil Scott on the gun law. I think he's losing some Republicans on that. About doing away with the bump stocks and raising the age to 21.
The bump stocks, I'm in favor of getting rid of those.
I agree.
I don't know of a hunter out there that needs that.
If you need a bump stock to shoot that many times, you're a bad shot.
That's right. You don't deserve to go deer hunting.
Can you imagine, shooting at a deer and with a bump stock and, probably you got a 10 clip? Where's all those 10 bullets going?
Right, the meat would be no good.
That's right. Raising the age to 21, I would support that because of the fact that, people got to go through the hunter safety course and then they got to be 21. We also need to do background checks. If if you have a mental problem, you shouldn't even be able to get a gun, whether you're 21 or over.
What annoys me the most, David, is this whole daggone thing that while we have all this problem here, we got the students want to go out on a thing tomorrow for 17 minutes to honor those people, which don't have a problem with that. That would have never happened if our people in charge would have been they were asleep at the switch, the FBI and the Sheriff's Department in Florida. All right, they were at his house 138 times and all that, and they knew things weren't right. All right, and so they allowed it to happen. Now they're skirmishing, and I'm on the side of the NRA. It's a knee-jerk type of thing. If the people in charge would have done their job, we wouldn't be talking about this.
Yeah. And getting teachers certified to carry handguns. You know what the first thing the NEA is going to say?
No.
They need another $10 an hour to do that.
Oh yeah, right.
I believe that we should have law enforcement officers in our school. If they don't have law enforcement officers, then maybe one or two people should be take the hunter safety course and get certified on carrying a firearm to protect their school. There was on TV the other night where I can't remember, it was in Texas. 11 years they've had no problems in their school because they have people, teachers in the school that are certified to carry a handgun.
Well, look what happened to that Air Force guy in Texas. Most Texans carry heat.
Yeah.
All right, they walk around with something on their side. And thank God that guy who heard what's going on went out and shot that guy, that Air Force guy, at that church shooting.
Yeah.
And most people in Texas carry guns. I know, for example, a lot of my friends who live in Florida have a permit. Tennessee people I know have permits to carry guns.
Massachusetts, I know some people that carry a gun.
Right.
They have a permit.
So if people know that people have guns, guess what? They won't be so, unless they want to die.
Yeah.
All right. But it seems like what they're trying to do now is kill people and go rot in jail.
But don't you think this starts at home?
Oh yeah, I know it's 100% starts at home.
At home, if the parents were spending more time with their kids and taking their kids and themselves to church and stuff like that, but also doing away with these games where it looks like a real army guy and you're running the controls and you're shooting at these people on the TV screen. That I don't think is very good for our kids as they're growing up because they get that in their mind.
Well, did you ever play Cowboy and Indians when you were a kid?
Yeah.
Did you have a gun with they had caps back in the day?
I used to have the one where I had a cork on the end and a string it was hooked to the cork.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I remember growing up down in Florida, all right, and we'd have cap guns. Yeah. And we'd go bang, 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 bang. You may hear that. I mean, now we were just shooting at each other, cowboys and Indians type of stuff. And I guess it didn't kill a lot of people. We didn't go out killing a lot of people. I think you're right about the family thing, but also, I mean, I remember going to every Saturday I went to see a cowboy movie. The bad guys always lost at a cowboy movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
if there's anybody that wants to call in and ask us any questions or make a statement, our number is 527-6449. We'd love to have calls from anybody, including Jimmy Fitzgerald, who always calls into shows. He brings up good issues, and anybody that wants to call in, please call in, because we love to have phone calls. We didn't advertise that me and Don Tessier were going to be on tonight because we didn't want them to turn off the TV screen. But if you'd love to call in, talk about any subject affecting city, town, Swanton, Highgate. The thing I want to bring up, Tim Smith was elected mayor. I think that was a good choice. Of course, he hadn't had anybody running against him.
Yeah, but now he's capable.
Very qualified.
Capable man, yeah, and he's local. He's not going to go anywhere, so he'll be around. And I think he does have the city at heart,
Yeah. Do you see where he's going to have a voting booth for kids to come in and learn how to vote?
That's perfect.
I agree with that. That's a good thing, about doing that. I did have a complaint from a town taxpayer, and I want to bring it up, that people that have a hard time reading, there should be a booth set off to the side, because if people can't read or they can't see, because this particular woman had talked to me, I'm going to bring it up to our town clerk and see if we can get a booth with maybe like a canopy around it for deaf or visually impaired people.
Mm-hmm. That's a good idea.
I'm going to bring that up to our town, because I had a woman that wants something done like that. So when she brings her husband in and stuff like that.
So he goes in with her?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that should be,
yeah.
We should encourage that.
Yeah.
We should encourage that.
Yeah, anybody that votes, we ought to encourage them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, I know Tim is doing a good job by instituting this. That's going to get our kids involved in government.
Yeah.
And I think that's a very good idea. Even though I lost my race by 150 votes or so.
That's why you're all upset about only 900 voting. If there's other 1,000, you might have won something.
Well, I would have had a better chance, maybe.
That's true. Well, 3,000 votes is a lot of votes.
Yeah, but just the people to get out there and vote on the issues, school budgets, town budgets, trucks, fire trucks, tandem trucks. It's nice to the select board needs to know how you want to vote on these issues, so they get a better idea. What you want in your town government.
I got a question to ask you. Now, you voted, correct?
Yes, I did.
Okay, I'm going to test you. On Tuesday, all right, on the ballot,
Yeah.
they had the Fairfield Town School and City School on there, and I noticed on there that they had a cost per student at $15,000 and change.
$15,441.
Right. So I am planning on going to the next meeting, and I think everybody else should go, because the average here in the state of Vermont is just a little over $9,000 per student. So why are we got $6,000 more per student? Okay, and it was supposed to save us money when they consolidated Fairfield, St. Albans Town, and St. Albans City together. Now, one person told me that they only lost one job out of all that consolidation. Now, something is wrong, because we should have had more than one person be let go when we consolidated, because the city school and town school has a big employment. And I can understand Fairfield. They didn't have as many people as we have down here in St. Albans in the town. But I'm still concerned about that $15,000. That's really high compared to what I've done in the past. And if I had time, I would have looked it up. But some of the numbers that I've gotten out of down south in South Carolina, North Carolina, Tennessee and stuff. And they're turning out excellent students. And Vermont, some of our test scores are actually going down and not going up. So I'm going to know what that $15,000 is.
That woman that Trump put in charge of education, did you see the interview the other day?
Yes, I did.
Even the schools in her state were failing, and she said she hadn't gone in and see why they're failing.
Mm-hmm.
That's really pathetic when you have she's the top dog or top woman in reference to that.
Yeah,
but she doesn't even check her own state.
Yeah, but she's been going into other states where they really need it, in something like Baltimore, Chicago, and these places or inner cities where they really need to hunker down. Where she is from, as you know, she come from a wealthy family and she married into wealth. So, and it was Milwaukee, Wisconsin. That's where she was.
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah, and they have a problem, but I assume they're going to address it. But she's trying to take the big picture, like Washington D.C. and those inner cities. And New York is one of them too. New York City, where they really need to get to those kids. Their scores might be going down, but these scores in these cities, I mean, these people are coming out, and some of them can't even read and write, which is really bad. And this is why we're getting killed, in the world, because in all those countries in Europe and places like that, they go to school almost year round, and they go for longer hours. They don't have as many vacations, and they're learning science and math and all the stuff that's going to help them get better jobs when they get out. So yeah, I heard that, and it kind of annoyed me too when I heard that what was going on. But she's one person, but she should be getting leadership in her Department of Education, sending them out there and say, okay, find out why.
That's right.
If these scores are down, let's go why. And the teachers union should be right step with them to find out why it's happening.
Yeah, because imagine her paycheck is way over $150,000.
Yeah, but she, like you said, she married into money.
Yeah.
I mean, she's probably a billionaire.
Yeah.
You know, so most of those people that go into cabinets like that, they're not in it for the money.
No.
They're not in it for the money, because most of our Secretary of State, who was head of mobile, you think that I bet he made at least $15 million a year there, Telson. I don't think we paid him $15,000 a year, Secretary of State. So most of these people go in for public service because it's just like Donald Trump, all right? He doesn't need the money. And
but Donald Trump says when he elected, I'm going to drain the swamp. What has he drained so far? All the Republicans out of the White House.
Well, no, there's some Democrats that have.
Not very many.
There's some Democrats that left. Well,
mostly Republicans.
Well, the FBI's lost a couple. They're going to lose a couple more when they get this done. And that backs up here. There's collusion stuff that you Democrats keep talking about. What do you say about it now? When they come out and said there was no collusion between Russia and the Democrats or the Republicans.
Well, I think until Mueller gets done with his investigation, it's hard to draw a conclusion until he gets everybody, including Donald Trump, to come before him and testify. Rex Tillerson, I thought he was the smartest guy you ever had.
He was one of my favorites, but something happened. Yeah. And like I said, he's going to walk into, go back to mobile. He probably had thousands of shares of mobile stock. So, I mean, this guy's a billionaire already.
Yeah.
All right. And so, I mean, like I said, they don't get into that job. They just like the prestige and the power.
Yeah.
And I guess what happened was, what I'm hearing is that he was running the State Department like a business, like he'd have meetings with people instead of like everybody there. He had closed door meetings to talk over. Maybe we should kick that out and say, hey, let's run it like a business and hold people accountable. It's a lot easier to spend other people's money.
Yeah. Yeah, very much so. I think that if we don't control government spending, do you know what the national debt's going to go up with just what Trump added to the national debt? It was over $1 trillion. That ain't counting the wall yet. That is just for the armed forces and all this cabinet. We're spending more money on Secret Service than we ever had before because we cover not only his immediate family, but all his kids that go all the way around the world to their different businesses. We shouldn't be covering them people.
Well, it's always been the fact that the presidents, and no matter who they are, their families protect. We're still protecting Billy Carter and his daughter, the Clintons, all those guys, the Bushes. All right, that's just part of the deal. I had no problem. And when you talk about the military, it's a good thing where the military was. They were going into graveyards and getting parts out of airplanes to put in another airplane. So we needed to.
Oh, we got a telephone call.
Oh, okay.
One of our fans.
Thank you for calling. What's your question or comment?
It doesn't come through on the speaker.
There is somebody out there listening.
Yeah. Please call back. We lost your call. In about 60 days, we'll be at a new place, and the sound system will be 100% better. And we got more cosmetic for all the people that want to be on here that need to dress up before they get on the show.
What do you mean dress up?
I mean, put some
Makeup.
makeup.
Oh, we don't do that. We're both naturally beautiful.
Yeah.
But what happened to your hair?
Well, you know something? I was a union rep for 38 years. And I've worked with a lot of city managers. The only one that made me lose a lot of my hair was Dominic Cloud.
They really?
Yeah. So, but that's in the past. I retired and I'm enjoying a good life. Let's talk about the Swanton Riviera Hotel in Swanton. In the paper, you know, you see a brand new building that's been remodeled, that it looks very nice.
That's just, they haven't done it yet. That's the architectural workup of what it's going to look like. Okay.
Yeah. To me, if I owned that, I'd tear it down and start over. But it costs so much for the permit, you better just clean up the inside and put new boards and new windows on it.
I remember when that was really, everybody went out there on a Saturday night and had a good time.
Yeah. But it's good that they're trying to fix that place up because it's falling apart.
Okay, what do you think of? We'll see if these people call back. Us having a prison built and have it run privately. What's your take on that?
Well, first of all, I don't want another prison in St. Albans Town with 900 people in it.
It's my understanding, and I read it somewhere, is they're going to put it down there at Northwest Correctional Center. It's going to be 295, I guess they call it beds, or there. We got screwed the first time, so why worry about it now? Because when that was supposed to be youthful offenders, that wasn't supposed to be a maximum security like it is now. I remember, and when I was in Rotary, when that first started, we went down and had lunch down there, and I said, "Gee, this is really nice," and it was nice. It was for youthful offenders.
That's right. I don't, if they want to build a bigger prison, maximum security. They just closed Windsor State Fire. Yeah. They can tear down that building. They got the land right there. They can build it there. St. Albans Town residents, when I was out campaigning, don't want a bigger prison. They just want to take, they've accepted what we got right now as a maximum security prison, not a juvenile detention center. They're willing to accept that because the guy that's in charge of that, there hasn't been any problems in St. Albans Town. To put a bigger prison, that means an increase in our kids going to school, the cost of education, housing, low-income housing. We're not prepared to take on, 600 more prisoners up here that their families will come with them.
That's correct. That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's something I didn't think about until you mentioned it. But yes, they do follow them.
Yeah.
And it does raise heck with the educational things.
And if they say, well, it brings more jobs to Vermont.
Yeah, right.
Go down there at 2:30 in the afternoon or 6:30 in the morning and watch how many cars are Vermonters and how many are New York Staters.
Really?
I used to work down at the correctional center. I used to run their wastewater treatment facility. There's a lot of people from out of state.
They come over from Ross's Point, Champlain?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. We used to run the plant. The city runs the plant for the state of Vermont. So, and that plant would have to be made bigger too. Yeah,
because of use. Yeah.
So, there's a lot more to it, and I hope our representatives will vote against it. If they're listening out there, I'll be at your next legislative breakfast talking to you about it to make sure that, it doesn't happen.
Let me know when that comes up again, because I missed the last one. I don't think they do a very good job of telling people what it is. Now, if they put it in the Courier and the Messenger, which I don't get, all right, there must be a way that they can get it out. In my opinion,
they charge you for it. If you die tomorrow, the Messenger used to be free.
Yeah.
It's $250. You want to pay $250? Put your obituary in the paper? Not me.
Well, I'm talking about let me know about the meeting.
I will let you know.
Well, I think my personal feeling is, and I was going to talk with Linda about that, the Republican committee and the Democratic committee in Montpelier should be sending them out to us people, all right, and let us know where to go. A lot of people would go if they knew it was there. All right,
If
and
they-
I just soon have the Democrats there, and the Republicans there, because this is the way our founding fathers did it.
Yeah.
Back in the day when they had a problem down in Williamsburg, Virginia, they'd go in the house there, and they'd fight like hang. And then at the end of the day, they'd go out and have a drink together.
Well,
and
you
go
know
home.
something. If we taken, which is a good idea, because I think, they should use public access more by making sure they advertise that when their meetings are, because I don't want them to start another department and raise my taxes again because they need 20 employees to put out all these notices throughout the state of Vermont. I don't want that to happen.
It could be all email.
Yeah.
If the Democratic committee and the Republican committee has a bank of people. If I wanted, all they do is they set up that beat and it blasts out to everybody, and it doesn't take more employees. It doesn't.
Well,
all you have to do is
they'll think of something.
all you have to do is have a base of names and email address.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the things I send you, I send to probably another 20 people, but you don't know who I'm sending them to because I do a blind coverage.
That's right.
And that's what they can do down there.
Yeah.
A blind coverage.
So if anybody wants to call in, our number is 527-6449. We'd love to have phone calls. Even though I like Don, we'd like to have people respond to some of the topics that we're talking about, or your own individual topic. If you've got a complaint about public access, what we're doing, call us. We'd like to know. That way we can always correct it. We try to do our best at public access. So, if there's a show that you want, please call in, and we'd love to have more shows. We're trying to get the nonprofits to come in and do a show, but it's very hard for them to, I guess they're bashful about getting in front of a camera. If I can do it, anybody can do it.
Right. Let me read this thing I got from Vermont Digger. I sent it to you this morning about the new prison. It says, Phil Scott said in a recent news conference that the agency reporting it was written at the request of the legislature made it clear that he is not beholden to its recommendations. As for the Democrats who control the House and Senate, they appear to be minimal appetite for increasing the role of private companies in Vermont correctional system. So their appetite, the minimum appetite, seems like the Democrats don't want to have private business here. Why do we always want state? My point being, if the private sector can do it cheaper, let them do it. The advocate group, Vermont, or the criminal justice reform, which has called for the reduction of state inmate population. Now that's really stupid. They're calling for a inmate population, reducing inmates in the state. How hell can you do that when people are breaking the law? I mean, that is a stupid question. That's a stupid statement. And wait till another one down here you're going to get. I can't believe when I read that. Would be likely to be the first raise alarm. The role of the private prison company appears to be growing in Vermont. And its executive director, Tom Dilton, said in an interview Monday about the proposal of the state lease in a new prison facility for a private company, I think is getting legs, which I agree with. If we can find somebody to do it, lower the cost, and let private enterprise, they're going to hire people. They're going to hire people, so it's good for the city and the state and all that. And this Tabitha, Paula Moore, spokesperson for the NCAACP group, acknowledged Monday that the group might be a bit late in getting their voice on the debate. But she said Vermont should be focused on the energy and money, not on reducing the number of people that, let me see here. Money, and on a new building, the new prison space should be reducing the number of people who are incarcerated. One thing here, it's hit a nerve to me. And then she says, and the first step should be reducing the number of people held simply because they're too poor to raise bail. That guy who shot that lady down in Nectar's the other day, it was out of prison, okay, had a gun, he was a felon, shouldn't have had it. He was out of prison waiting to go to trial. And he was a felon, I don't know what he was doing, But if they get this bail, what she says about the bail, if you get in trouble and you can't post bail, and certain people should not be allowed to walk the street, we should put them on the fast track to get them before a judge and put them in jail. All right.
Well,
So I mean, I can't believe when I read that they want to reduce the inmates. Well, if we would reduce the inmates if we didn't have the crime, what do you want to do? Let them run around like a pack of dogs?
well, I think if we had jobs out there and we could take some of these people and get them back into working society, we wouldn't have such a burden on our welfare system.
I agree 100%.
You know, the fact that, we're not rehabilitating these minor offenses is causing us a lot of problem and a lot of cost. What is it, $38,000 a year for one prisoner at the correctional center?
Is that right?
Yeah, and that cost is borne by everybody. Imagine getting $38,000 a year instead of $38,000 a bill from the state because we got John Doe in there. We need to put people back to work. People on social services should give something back to society. I don't mind helping them. I knew of a case where this girl was a single parent with a child, and she went back to she wanted to go back to work, and because of the fact that she needed a babysitter, and she was going to get a little bit extra money, not enough to pay for the babysitter. We should have helped that woman to stay off the system by helping her with a babysitter. I know that kids, children that are at daycares, because I have a relative that runs a daycare. So we need to help them to get them back into the working society and get them off the social welfare system.
Well, I agree 100%. And that's one thing I liked about when they, I didn't know this, but when they closed Windsor down, they had like a woodworking shop down there, and they had all kinds of stuff. They had a farm for the guys to go out and plant their food and crops and stuff like that. And get down south, they do a lot of that. Of course, they do it differently down there. I remember down in Norfolk, they had the Norfolk jail. They had a big farm, and they went out and worked the fields, and they brought it in and cooked it and stuff like that. But you're right, we need to get them off there.
Yeah.
But one of the complaints of the people, the family members, when we send them out of state, it says it takes them 2 hours, like the New Pennsylvania, and when they go to these different states. Well, it's hard on the family to visit them, but when you go to jail, it shouldn't be easy. It should make you never want to get back in there again. It's called a logical consequence.
People from different countries that are in correctional centers, do you know we have to change their food to what their culture is?
Really?
I know this happened down the correctional center when I was on the liaison committee. That we went down there one time. We didn't tell the guy that's in charge of the prison. We said we're coming down. And
the warden, they call him.
Yeah, the warden. So we went in there because people were complaining about the food. We went down there, not letting let them know, and I said we'll be there at 4 o'clock. We walked in. We had to go through security, make sure we didn't have anything. And then we went into the eating area. They have milk, they have lemonade, they have juices. The food we had was green beans, mashed potatoes, and I think it was chicken. And for dessert, you had Jell-O or pudding.
Almost made you want to stay there, huh?
No. But when people, some of the prisoners were complaining about the food wasn't wasn't what their liking was.
I say to them, tough luck, Jack. Maybe you don't want to come back here again when you get out. Just think about that.
Yeah.
If it's easy and they're making it, Devil's Island, that back in the day, the Devil's Islands, they put people, they had to fend for themselves. And, if it's a comfort zone, what do you care? Some people back in the day, I understand, they get picked up in the fall so they could go to prison for the winter time, then get back out in the spring. At least have a place to stay. It should not be a pleasant place to go. They should not be able to watch TV 24/7.
Yeah.
They should be locked up. Okay, I want them to exercise. I want to treat them human. But you're going to eat what everybody else eats. Take it or leave it alone. Just like that professor down in University of Vermont was going on a hunger strike. That didn't last long. I said, let him go on a hunger strike. Don't do a damn thing. If he wants to do that, let him die. I don't care.
Yeah.
When he gets hungry, he'll stop. Guess what? He stopped.
Yeah.
I mean, people, when they say they're going to do something, let them do it. And when you get caught doing something wrong and you have to pay the price, pay the price, then you won't come back. If it's easy, they'll be back.
Yep.
But anyways.
Yep. The F-35 jets in Burlington, that's a big hot issue. They had a non-binding referendum there where people voted more against it, the jets coming in, than there was supporting it.
And whatever comes out of Burlington, Vermont, I don't even pay attention because they're so stupid down there. It's unbelievable.
Wouldn't you want to have those jets, whether it's the F-16s or the F-35s, in your backyard, in case there was ever anybody came across, out of across the ocean, and wanted to attack our southern parts or southern northeastern part of our countries?
You know who the biggest person who pushed for the 35s, and you didn't hear a word about it? Pat Leahy.
And Bernie Sanders supports it.
Yeah, but Pat Leahy was the one that worked on to get that.
Yeah.
When I was in the Air National Guard back in the 60s, okay, we flew F-89s, and they had a navigator and a pilot. And this is back right around when Kennedy was alive, and the Russians would go down the coast of Maine, outside over there, and fly down to Cuba. And we'd send those jets out to watch them. All right, so people don't understand that's national security work in those 35s.
Yeah.
Right? They go faster than those old 59s. But the ones that were flying there, they weren't fighters. They were just people keeping those Russians safe.
We're down to 17 minutes and we haven't got a phone call.
Okay.
Linda's show must be a more high priority than ours.
Yeah. But no, and I grew up down in the Norfolk area. As a child, I went to first grade in Green Cove Springs, Florida, right after World War II.
Oh, we got a phone call.
Hello? Thanks for
Hey, guys, how's it going?
Good.
Thanks for calling
Good.
in.
I just wanted to call up and thank Northwest Access TV for filming all the sporting events at the high schools and putting it on the air for
Good.
people to go out and watch that can't make it to the games.
And some people that don't have cable TV can also go on our website and they can see some of the hockey games, basketball games that we put on our website. So, if people that don't have cable, because cable is expensive if you really get all the packages. But
And that's one. One other thing too. If you can't make it at church, I know that you record the church services at the Methodist Church, Congregational Church, the Baptist Church, right? And I think that's another good feature for people who can't get out, especially older people in the wintertime. At least they can listen to something about of interest to themselves.
Yeah, color. We're going to be in our new site probably within 30 to 60 days, depending upon all the permits and stuff and our equipment. We're going to have an open house. It'll be posted on our website. We haven't set the date yet, so everybody's going to be welcome to come up and see our new studio.
So I'm very excited. My son plays 3-season sports here at BFA. He plays football, hockey, and lacrosse. And my mother used to go to all the games, and we moved her into a senior home in Milton. And when you guys started filming it, it made her day because she could just get on Facebook and just watch the games and not have to fight the elements or have somebody go pick her up and bring her back. And now we're getting people from family all the way down in Rhode Island and Massachusetts tuning in and watching the games, watching them play. So it's pretty awesome, and I just wanted to thank you guys for doing that.
Well, all our board members, including Don, we're not, I'm the board president, and all my board members, we do not get paid. We're volunteering to provide a service. Don's been hosting shows, he doesn't get paid, we hire people to go out and video a lot of these games and stuff like that. We have to pay because if I tell you to be at a specific place for 7 o'clock, game, that we hire people to do that. We're always looking on our website. If you ever look for a part-time job, we have a lot of senior citizens that love to work for us, You know,
Yeah.
so, you know, if you feel you want to spend a night watching a select board meeting and videotaping it and falling asleep with them, you know, you're welcome to come in and go to our website.
Oh, great. Thank you for the offer.
Yep.
Yeah, take it easy. Thank you for your
Thank you.
compliments.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Yeah, well, you know, that is, I mean, it does exactly what he was just saying, that now his mother's in Milton, and she can still be part of the family at the game. That's really not,
Yeah.
that's important to the family members, especially a grandmother who wants to see her grandchildren doing it. And I think, yeah, you're right. It's a great thing.
When we had our Santa Claus show, we had calls from all over the United States
Really?
on the internet, and we had 88 kids that talked to the Santa Claus. Yeah, so we thank People's Trust Bank because they're the one that sponsors the airtime.
Yeah.
You know, for doing that. So we're down to 13 minutes and 17 seconds. Carol Brannigan, I'm gonna hate to see her gone. You know,
Yeah, you said she's got, well, you know.
it's in the paper, you know, that she's stepping down to spend more time with her family and
Yeah.
her friends and their children.
Well, she's been down there as a representative in the center. She must have been over 20 years.
It doesn't say how many years in the article, but you know something? She's the only one down there that at least comes back, puts articles in the paper to inform the voters up here how things are going. And Carol Brannigan says the state of Vermont's broke. I believe her.
Oh yes, oh yes. If she says it's broke, because she sits on that committee and
Yeah,
and she does keep everybody informed.
yeah. And State Representative Corey Parent thinks he wants to fill the shoes. He'll never fill her shoes because he's not informative as she is to the public. Yeah. You know, when we had our political blow show, hardly any Republicans came on other than Carol Brannigan.
What was that? What was the show about?
Well, it was questions. What's going on in Montpelier. How would you vote on this issue?
Oh, okay. Asking them how they stand
Yeah.
on issues.
Yeah, and they wouldn't come. We were like, the voodoo doll. Don't come on McWilliams and Greg Gervais show.
Well, I mean,
we treat everybody the same. We ask them
your questions can't be if I would say what is your thought on privatizing the prison, and let them tell me what it is.
Or the carbon tax.
Or the carbon tax.
We're giving them the opportunity to come on public access
And let us know.
And how they would vote.
I was thinking maybe when we ought to talk with Linda and have this show on Monday. No, one day they come. They go back on. Do they go back on Monday or do they go back on Tuesday? Yeah, okay. Have this show on Monday, and invite these guys up here instead of Tuesday because they're down there. And I can see some of them do come home Tuesday night, but that's I wouldn't expect them to work all day and then come up here because that's a little bit much. But I think we ought to talk to Linda about having it on Monday so we could have all these people come in, and we'll have a group of people who are going to, like you and me, all right, talk about things that we see and ask them, how do you feel about this? Like I said, these people talking about, we got to cut down the population. Well, law enforcement's doing a good job. We're putting them in there because, look, when they break the law, they should be held accountable.
Well, anybody should be held accountable for what they do. And I can remember one time, my father, I don't know if you remember Roland Keenan.
Oh, yeah.
I lived across the road from Roland Keenan. And one day I threw a rock, and it went right straight through Roland Keenan's window.
His house?
Yeah, in his house on Lincoln Avenue.
Yeah.
And Catherine Keenan doesn't remember it. My father made me go and apologize to him and pay for the window, which was the best thing.
Logical consequences.
Yeah, because if you do wrong, then you pay the penalty.
Pay a price. Yep.
And just like people, this smoking pot now is going to be legal in July. Judge Ben from Grand Isle does a show on Green Mountain TV, and he interviewed people that down in where it's legal now, the problems they're having. It's a gateway to bigger drugs.
Yeah.
We're down to 9 minutes and 35 seconds and only one phone call.
Yeah.
I thought we'd just get 2 phone calls.
Well, yeah,
to make it
because
even.
some of the topics we brought up, collusion, the sanctuary cities, the gun laws, Russia, right, and especially the carbon tax. and then the tax, you know, $15,000, and the property tax. We're going to be lowering the property tax. We're going to nick you in the income tax.
Well, I bet you this, that Phil Scott will never get that. You know, right now our Social Security and our pensions are taxed in the state of Vermont. A lot of other states, you know, don't do it. Do you think he's going to accomplish that?
I hope so. I'm going down to Tennessee, you know, and as you well know, that's one of your favorite states.
Yeah.
Because of the taxes,
Yeah.
and you know, the nice thing about it, if for example, if I give my son a car that Pauline and I have owned, all right, he takes it down there, and with the title, and everybody signs the title, and there's a form. It says from a relative. No tax, no automobile tax. State of Vermont, I come up from Nashville, Tennessee, and I get a car from my son, and I bring it up here. They go to their book and say, okay, tax is this. Right? I mean, that's the difference.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
We're a tax haven. We tax everything that they can think of. And, you know, Montpelier, when they're in session, it costs us money.
Yeah.
Because, you know, they're thinking up a new way to get taxes. You know, the income tax is help to pay for property taxes. The major burden on property taxes, a lot of senior citizens are selling their place. They're moving into these senior houses.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they can't afford to keep their house anymore.
Yeah, because the property taxes are going right out of the sky.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest drivers is education. The education cost, right? Like I said, $15,400 for the town of St. Albans and the city and Fairfield. I mean, why? And I'm going to work on finding out why that. I might even go down to the new superintendent's office down on
Catherine Street.
Catherine Street, and get that there and sit down and talk with that lady and say why. I mean, if the average is around 10,000, where is that extra $5,000 going? If you look at the population of Fairfield, St. Albans, and St. Albans town's school population, right? What was it? That school down in Florida where they had a shooting, that district has 300,000 students in that district. Wow. That's a lot of students.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'd like to know what their cost per thousand would be
yeah.
per student. That might be something I might Google and find out.
Well, we're down to 6 minutes. I was hoping we get one more telephone call from.
Maybe if somebody called us, tell us to leave early.
You know, so you know what we ought to do is you gotta say your closing, and if you want me to say a couple of things, see if I can raise some eyebrows. I will.
Go right ahead.
Well, to the
We're
viewers,
a team.
To the viewers of public access, you know, there's so many items that need to be voted upon. You know, whether it's your town meeting or the November election, because we got an election coming up. You know, I haven't decided whether I'm going to run against Lynn Dickinson or not. You know, but you know, we need to vote on issues that are affecting your taxes, affecting your families, affecting your education. So, please go out and vote, because a lot of men and women died for that right.
Yeah.
You know, and we need to make sure that we protect that right for future generations to vote without having to be, you know, scared to go vote on.
Well, you look at China, look at Russia, Venezuela, and all those Middle East countries, all right? Saudi Arabia, all those guys. These people would love to vote. They'd love to vote, but they don't get to vote.
Yeah.
Because it's a monarchy, and if you do something wrong there, especially in China, those two guys that voted against the president for unlimited term, I'd like to know where they are now.
Yeah, well,
there's only two votes that voted against it in the whole Congress or Parliament, whatever they call it in China.
well, you see where that father and daughter was poisoned by the Russians?
In England.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty sad, you know. Happened in the United States.
Yeah, because
no, it didn't happen in the United
No,
States.
it happened in England.
England, yeah.
But he was a counter spy, all right? And so they killed him for some reason because he knew something that could probably hurt him, and then they found out. Yeah. And just a couple of years ago, they killed another guy in England. I guess it was something, and they had him on 60 Minutes when they showed how he died. I guess it was a painful death, the way he died.
I had a guy on public access. This was probably in the early 90s. He worked for MI6 in
Really?
Great Britain, and he showed me a lot of pictures of the equipment that he had and stuff like that. He stayed in it for about 5 years, and he said I couldn't take it anymore because he said he'd get a note and say that he had to go eliminate somebody. So you're down to 4 minutes, Don. So you're the boss of the show. You can give your closing.
Well, I thank everybody who or probably viewed us tonight. I assume that somebody did view us. We appreciate your support, and if at any time that you have something you want to talk about, call the studio here, and we'll get you on the air and let you voice your concerns about something that you'd like to be seen done. But we are going to take a look at that Monday calling thing and get the legislators in here so you can probably call in and ask them questions that are bothering you. And I think that might speed things up a little bit. And I think Linda would probably go along with that because, I mean, what we talked about, everybody should be interested in because it's going to affect their pocketbook.
Affects their wallet.
Everything we talked about.
When you get on what they call Social Security and you got a limited income, you want to get out there and tell these people how how to vote and tell them that you're upset with the way they voted, because when you're on a fixed income, it makes a difference.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I have to have my wife cut my hair. I had to cut a budget, so I had to.
Well, you don't have much hair to cut anyways. You probably could shave it.
Well, I'll probably come to that. I'm getting older. A lot of people said you look like your father. My father was very skinny, bald-headed, and he weighed about 95 pounds. Well,
see, I got screwed. My grandfather, Tessier, my grandfather, Perro, were bald-headed. My father had hair, and then I lost my hair. My son doesn't have hair. He's got a little bit more than me, but it's hereditary, I guess. I don't know. But my grandfathers on both sides that were bald, but my father had a hair when he did. I mean, it was back a little bit, but at least he wasn't bald like I am.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we're down to about 2 minutes, so I'd like to say, in closing that if anybody has any ideas for our new programs coming up on public access, feel free to give us a call, 527-6474. We'd love to hear, what type of shows you want in the future. So don't be afraid to give us a call, and see what we can do for you, because this is your public access.
Yeah. There must have been some good TV shows on tonight because nobody called. Like you said, usually we have a few that might call, and I recognize their voices, all right?
Yeah.
But they, talk about, make a comment, and maybe we ought to call it comment show rather than sound off.
Yeah. Well, you're down to 1 minute. You ought to say your closing remarks, and that way.
The only remarks is I hope everybody has a good, safe week without storms coming in. I know a lot of people thought that, I saw a lot of geese heading north, so I thought maybe spring was coming early. Well, guess they know what I didn't know, but they're probably up there at the top, up there, but they understand it's supposed to be another storm next week, but if you're on the road, drive with care. I drove for a company for almost 40 years in the state of Vermont and never had a problem. Sometimes it would take me an hour to get home, sometimes 3 hours. So drive accordingly and don't hurt anybody or hurt yourself. So hope you have a good week and God bless you.